What's up, everybody? Welcome to FPL Hotline. I'm Matt Tomo, your host, and to my left from Chicago, Illinois, we got Gash.
Hey guys, I'm Matt Gashler. My friends call me Gash. I'm from New York. I live in Chicago now. I'm a big Man United fan, and I'm really proud of it because you can see I'm wearing a jersey from the Moy season, and on the back I have Yenuzai 44. So not my best pick. I've been playing FPL for probably like 7 years now, but only really the last like 4 years really count because the years before was just the set and forget accidentally zombie teams. So excited to get going.
You got to be like the only person in Chicago with a Yenuzai kit.
I just want it to be unique.
Probably. All right, so above me we got Taz. What's up, Taz?
What's up, guys? Big Arsenal fan here. Bigger than the guy down there. I don't have a name on the back of my jersey because I support the club, not a name. But besides being an Arsenal fan, been playing FPL since probably like 2012, 2013. But seriously, over the past couple seasons, top finishes 3 years ago, top 100K, then 2 seasons ago, top 20K. But fortunately, last season I only finished like 140K because of some poor captaincy choices that hopefully I will not make this time around.
All right, and to my upper left, this way, we got C4 all the way from Toronto. What's up, C4?
Hi, first name C, last name 4. This is my 4th year playing FPL. I still remember the day Gash messaged me asking to be part of a Ukrainian FPL league. That didn't go so well that year. I got relegated. And now, next season promotion right back up. One top 40K finish, but probably my fantasy achievement is winning a World Cup in 2018, which I don't think anyone else on this call has because you guys all lost to me. And favorite Premier League club, Newcastle.
And I'm Matt Tomo from New York, big time Arsenal fan. Hey, man. Been playing FPL. I think this is my 3rd year or 4th year, maybe.
No, you're definitely in the league.
Yeah. You think so? I don't know. I like FPL. It's cool. I played fantasy football and fantasy basketball, fantasy baseball, like my whole life pretty much. So kind of new to FPL, 3 years experience. A lot of fun. So here we go. All right, so let's start off with some basic stat explanations. We're going to be using these stats not only today, but throughout the whole season when we're explaining stuff. So I'm going to throw it over to Gash to kind of explain those a little better for us.
Yeah, so like Tomo said, these are a few things that we're going to be referencing. So just if anyone doesn't have a background with these, this is a good starting point, I feel. So I just want to make this real quick. So the first one that's I think really important is expected goals. So it's basically a way of measuring how good a shot position is. So it's like a probability that a shot in a certain position will go into the goal, including, like the location of where the shooter is from, the body part they're shooting with, like a right-footed shot or a weak foot shot or a header, what kind of pass they received, if it's like, off a corner kick or off a through ball or something, or, the type of attack. So if it's like off a rebound and almost a tap in and the keeper's out of position, or there was like a long build-up play, or like if the defender's out of position or something. So the way they get these numbers is each shot is they take like thousands and thousands of shots from that same spot with the same conditions that they're looking at, and then just the number of shots that go in. So like a expected goal of 0.5 means that typically from that spot in those same conditions, 5 out of 10 shots will result in goals. Each model is like slightly different that different websites use, so you might see like a little difference in numbers here, but they're all relatively similar in what they're trying to convey. Players looking at expected goals for players, especially strikers, is like a really good way to determine if they're underperforming, overperforming, if their goal scoring form is sustainable and it's just like a lot of chances, or if they're just like hitting every chance that they can. And they actually shouldn't, they have no right to be scoring that many. You're just a really good finisher. Another really small thing about this is like post-shot expected goals, which I think is really interesting because it takes into account the direction of the shot after the shooter hits it. So what that expected goals doesn't do. So really, the main point of that is, if someone is in like a far 30 yards from goal or something and they hit it, they're going to have a very low chance of expected goals because it's not often that people score from there. But if they hit it super fast and upper 90, it's going to have a lot higher post shot expected goal because it's going right in the top corner. So this is actually a good way to measure like how good keepers are at saving shots on target. The other couple of things I want to mention are stats per 90. So per 90 just means that goals per 90 means how many goals a striker will score adjusted for 90 minutes. So it helps when some players play a lot more than others, and you'll say, this guy only has 2 goals, but this guy's 15, but the guy with 15 played a lot more minutes, so it kind of helps, even it out.
Right.
Another little discrepancy is key passes versus chances created. So I see these two. I was very confused about this for a long time, so I figured I'd clear it up. A key pass is a pass that leads to a shot on goal. Chance created are key passes and assists. So key passes don't include assists. The chance created is key passes and assists. So if the shot goes in, it's not going to technically count as a key pass, which I don't really think makes any sense. But that's how it goes.
Wait, so key pass doesn't include assist?
Yeah, key pass does not include assist, which
Right.
doesn't make any sense. It's like those you would think would be the most key passes, but I guess not.
Right.
And then the last thing is FPL specific, so it's called effective ownership, and I think this is a really important thing to know. It essentially is a way of measuring how many people are going to benefit from a player scoring a lot of points. So it takes into account how many people own the guy, so just normal ownership, plus how many people captained him, plus how many people triple captained him if they did. So essentially, it weights based on that. So it'll take into account that captains will get twice the score and triple captains will get 3 times the score. And really, the most important part about this is if a player is over 100% expected ownership. Effective ownership, and you don't captain him, if he scores a lot, you have a big chance of going down because that means a lot of people are relying on him, and you actually benefit more from him not scoring a lot, even if he's in your team and you don't captain him. Final note, even though all these stats are really good to use and kind of back up decisions, I really don't encourage people just making decisions off stats. Watching players play and highlights and stuff is really more of a key part, I would say, than the statistics. So sometimes there are players that, have really weird stats, but when you watch them play, you can kind of make sense of them. And I think that's really the key point is if you're ever confused, just watch some highlights of a player or watch maybe the last couple of games they've played and their touches and stuff, and it really should give a more complete picture.
Good looks. All right. Thank you, Gash. All right. So, as you all know, the schedules came out yesterday, right? Yesterday. So got 2 big blanks. Burnley and Man United blanked, and City and Aston Villa as well. So it's a lot of names that we had to change. I know I changed up my team a lot from the first draft to this second draft. I'm sure you guys did as well. So let's just go through our drafts, where we're at now with our teams, what we're thinking about, who we're not thinking about, just how it's looking so far, especially after the new schedule announcement. So Gash, why don't you ready to start us off with that?
Yeah, sure. I'll start us off. Just wait for there we go. So, keepers. Ryan and Nyland. So I went for a pretty common strategy of an 8.5 total spend on keepers, a 4.5 keeper that's more or less basically set and forget, and then a 4.0 bench fodder one to just save money. The reason why I went with Ryan was because he was in pretty decent form post the restart. He based on his expected goals, he actually should have conceded a few more, but he was making a lot of saves. And he's actually, really overperforming a few other kind of underlying stats. So I really like the look of, him in goal. And then Nyland, in all honesty, was just a 4.0, and I like the look of his name. So picked him there to.
Yeah, it's a cool name, right?
Yeah, I know. New York lid.
He also might have a chance to start.
Yeah, I know. That's,
really? With the Villa keeper being injured, Nyland's possibility to start at 4.0 million. So
that's big too. Yeah, I got the same 2 keepers. I think. Yeah. So that's good. All right. So 8.5. Did we all do the 8.5 strategy for our goalies?
I mean,
no.
Right? You don't want to spoil everything, right?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're right. All right, guys. Who you got in defense, man?
All right. So my defense, I'm going to start off with. Mr. Ferguson there, who's becoming pretty well known in the FPL circle as a 4.0 right back for Crystal Palace. Shades of AWB 2 seasons ago that served everyone
exactly
so well.
What I was thinking. Yep. Exactly what I was thinking.
So he seems pretty nailed to start. There's actually a little bit of a chance that he is rotated or maybe doesn't start the season at first. From what I've been seeing, Roy Hodgson tends to prefer experienced players, but his rival in that position is Joel Ward, who will he's pretty old and experienced really. So I think they're going to try to favor the youth in that spot. The next pick I have is Justin. He's a right back for Leicester, and he's been playing. He played the end of last season with Pereira out hurt with a long-term injury, but I think Pereira is expected back October. Yeah,
like a month or so, I think.
Yeah, so I think it's the first couple of game weeks that he's mostly for right there.
So you're gonna pick him up just for those game weeks?
So the upside also is that he can, from what I've seen, he's experienced playing left back as well. And Fuchs is also out for even a few weeks longer than Pereira, I believe. So he can also shift over to left back, if he's in good enough form.
Right.
So
I was going
you might get like
saying that he'd be playing left back too.
Yeah, right. I saw that.
So you might get like 6 or 7 weeks out of him even.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes, and maybe if he keeps his form. Fuchs hasn't been in the greatest form the past season or two, so he might even be able to keep that spot. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Next up is Trent. I don't really need to say much about Trent. He's killer season last year. I'm sure a lot of people were excited to have him at only 7.5, and at this point, it's kudos to anyone who can go without him and not and still be able to fall asleep at night. Because it's just really scary to have him there. You're screwed. Essentially.
How highly could they have priced him where you still would have gone for him? I would have gone for him at 8. I might have gone for him at 8.5 even, honestly.
Yeah, I think
midfielder numbers, man.
I think 9 would be the cutoff for me. I feel like a 9 point.
You would still go for him at 9, Taz?
No, I don't think I'll go for him at 9, but it depends on how much they would place Robertson and the rest of the team at. Because if it's right now, a difference of $500,000, why would you not go for Trent? Those underlying stats are so much better than Robertson's. But if you, depends which period you look at. But but otherwise, I feel like he was placed more than $1 million. I would just go straight for Robertson if the price difference was more than $1 million.
Yeah, that's valid. I thought about Robertson a bit too, but Trent looks unstoppable. I think could he have over 50% ownership easily? Right, right.
I think it's 50. I think it's 56 right now at the time of recording.
Honestly, I'd be kind of surprised if he doesn't have over 50% when the season starts.
I think
I'm checking.
KDB as of this morning, we're both over 50. I'm not sure if anyone else was.
Well, KDB should go down a little bit after the blank announcement, but they're probably going to be the 2 highest owned players right there.
Right now on the FPL website. Right now on the FPL website, Trent's at 56.5. So
wow.
Yeah, I know.
That might go up.
The thing to watch out for too is KDB with that price rise, because a lot of people are going to leave him out in game week 1 and then try to bring him in 2 or 3, so he can shoot up in price right away. So that might, if you don't have that 0.5 in your budget, that might stop you from getting him from the start.
True.
There's also
KDB's
You're not taking KDB? Oh, I guess we'll get there. I don't want to spoil it.
Get there.
All right, guys, who you got next?
I want to see the people that are in Captain Trent on a regular basis.
Oh, I know. That's even. I don't know. I don't want to comment on that because I'm not gonna lie. I've considered it, but
I have Captain Trent a couple times.
Yeah, I know. A regular basis, I think, is that'd be the real crazy part.
Yeah.
So next in there, I got Kyle Walker-Peters, KWP. The FPL loves its 3-letter acronyms. It's TLAs. So he's really cheap at 4.5 million. He's in a Southampton team who I am actually really really high on this season. I was looking at it before we were filming this actually, and since Southampton lost 9-0 to Leicester, they have gotten the 4th most points in the Premier League. So that is over 25 games last season. They are 4th with 43 points. The only teams ahead of them are Liverpool, City, and United.
Wow.
So Yeah, right. It's
I knew they
surprising.
did well post restart, but that well, jeez.
Yeah. Since that 9-0 back in so whatever
Yeah.
I think November maybe.
I think that was
maybe
November or
more.
December.
Yeah, but it was the last 25 games of the season.
Hey, good for them.
Yeah, I know.
Good for them.
So actually, yeah. So what I was going to say is, then post restart, they were actually third on points, and they allowed the fifth fewest goals. So they were pretty solid there. There were actually even a couple of times where they only allowed one goal, so just missed out on the clean sheet too. So I think they're going to hopefully continue that form into the new season.
What scares me about him is a lack of clean sheets. I don't see them keeping too many clean sheets, even if they're winning games.
Yeah, I don't know.
You said that you think he improved?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I think they. So that's one of the situations where kind of the eye test, when just watching a couple of their games, they look a lot more compact.
Yeah.
Hard to break down.
Yeah. All right.
He also returned 1 assist in the final post restart, so he has potential to return assists and even goals.
Yeah,
he took a few shots post restart.
Yeah, they were talking about him being a decent attacking option. Nothing crazy. No Trent like numbers, but
right.
Good enough for a defender.
For 4.5 million,
a midfielder with that. Yeah.
That's the thing is, for 4.5 million, he's basically nailed it right back. So you can't ask for too much more. And then my last defender, is Vinagre. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I honestly have no idea because I've just read his name a bunch of times and I've never actually heard heard it said at all. But like a lot of people, watching Johnny on Wolves with his ACL injury, so he's out long term, and this is his expected replacement as left back / left wing back. And as Wolves love, with Doherty on the right, they love to get forward. So and they have a really solid defense as well, so a lot of clean sheet potential there. So at 4.5, it's a pretty easy pick, provided they don't sign anyone else in that left back spot.
All right. So you went like mostly cheap on the defense, minus Trent, obviously.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, same here. Well, maybe. I don't want to spoil it yet. You want to move on to your midfield? Or are we all going to go through our defenses? Or
yeah, why don't we all go through
yeah.
defense? It's easier.
All right. Taz, you ready, man?
No, of course. Born ready, bro.
Let's hear it. C4, you got it?
So,
all right, there you go.
Preseason's going for the set and forget option for goalkeepers. Always got me really annoyed when my goalkeeper came into like a fixture of like 3 to 5 games where it's like tough and he's not returning points. So this season I'm gonna try to rotate 2 4.5 keepers. So I'm only spending $500,000 more for this strategy, and I don't think that's that big of a deal compared to like a set and forget keeper at $5.5 million. I feel like this strategy will offer me like maybe 2 to 3 clean sheets more throughout the season. And then at the same time, it's like, do you want to, like, nobody's going to spend money on a top 3 team keeper. Like, nobody wants, like, I would rather have that spot from Liverpool or Man City for the 3 outfield players instead of like spending one on the keepers. So, when I chose McCarthy and Matt Ryan, they both had decent amount of clean sheets towards the end of last season. Southampton picked up a lot. But I look like, especially like, this is something I considered before going in, but now like definitely confirmed post schedule release. Looking at it right now, I can rotate these 2 keepers and have one of them starting for their fixtures up until game week 16, which is when the wild card 1 deadline is, our first wild card. You have to use it before game week 16, or it just gets you basically lose it. And up until then, if I rotate them, I can get a fixture of difficulty rating of 3 or below, except for one fixture where it's going to be 4, and I think it's going to be McCarthy away to Man United. So I feel like up until then, guaranteeing a fixture difficulty of 3 according to the FPL website, that's like, I think that's the best case scenario for me. At the same time, there's no keeper at 5.5 that I really like that I would want to get over, as I said, forget. And then the 5.0 million is just like useless, in my opinion.
Yeah. But then the thing is with the 4.5, which I think I used that strategy my first year. You just got to guess right every week. That's like a choice you got to make every single week.
That's a really ballsy move. I mean, I know you were.
If you feel like you can do it, it's going to be great. But I don't know if I have the balls for that personally. I just like to set and forget my keepers.
Personally,
but it's pretty easy for like some of the game weeks. Like I made like a spreadsheet for it for throughout the game weeks, and it's like it'll be like a run of like where like McCarthy faces Liverpool, like City, and like Wolves in 3 games in a row, and then Ryan and Stacey and like Burnley, like Leeds, and like some other like kind of like weaker team, lower table team. So it's not that difficult. There's only a few times where it could be a 50-50 toss up, but at the same time, I would just choose McCarthy personally because Southampton's looking a better team right now. Maybe they'll change down the line in the season.
Taz,
through the whole schedule. Wow.
My biggest counter argument to that would be Pope last season, when a bunch of people dropped him before a really difficult run of fixtures, and he was coming out with some clean sheets, a bunch of save points too, and he just he killed it. And the people who kept him throughout that tough run of fixtures, I mean, they were sitting pretty.
That is true, but at the same time, not like how many people are like you can like keep like Pope was like a kind of one of like you can't really compare previous seasons to him. Like the way he outscored the rest of the keepers is just I highly doubt it's gonna happen again this season, especially like watching some of the Burnley games, having their defenders. I was like cheering for clean sheets, but a lot of times they just barely scraped by with like a 1-0 win, or like even sometimes almost conceded. So I don't think they're going to keep the same amount of clean sheets this season. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, that's fair. My biggest caution there is also that not just that he outscored the rest of the keepers, but also that you wouldn't have thought he would have had all those clean sheets and save points. So with your rotation system, I feel like there's going to be a bunch of like I've tried it before, and for me, there's just a bunch of times where you make the wrong choice on keeper, and it just feels awful. Like see like 6, 7, 8 points on the bench, and you got like a 1-pointer in the game, and it's like an added decision where I feel like at the end of the season you have all these keepers who are relatively close to each other in terms of total points scored. So I mean, at least personally, I don't think it's something you need to worry about. Add it to the list.
That's true. It depends. Just like how like you used that you got annoyed from like having to choose and like you having made a poor decision of like your bench keeper actually outscoring. For me, it's the opposite. For me, it's the opposite. Where like I just had to like had to use a free transfer to get like a better keeper in. And that's just like annoying to use. Like nobody wants to transfer out defenders or keepers. You want to use those transfers to rotate your premium like assets and forwards and midfielders.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's true. Going back to Nick Pope real quick. Yeah, owning him last year just felt so lucky every week. I just he always performed better than I expected. Always. I was not expecting to set and forget him. He was just kind of a cheap option that I threw in. I think like game week 3 or something.
That was perfect for your strategy of falling asleep while setting your lineup.
Yeah. All right, man. I didn't think we were going to talk about that. I fell asleep setting my lineup at least like 6-7 game weeks last year. I have no idea how I finished as well as I did. When did I finish in our mini league? Like 6th? Yeah, no idea how that happened.
Yeah.
I was ahead of Gash for 36 game weeks, falling asleep almost every time I'm trying to pick my team.
And you were 2,000 in the world after game week 4 or something, or before game week 4?
Like game week 4 or 5, yeah. I looked and I was like, oh shit, I'm top 2,000 in the world. That's sick. And then like I fell asleep setting my lineup that night, and then down from there. C4, weren't you like top 10 in Canada for like a little bit, for quite a bit?
Yeah, and I was in the top 1,000 for like a couple of weeks, but then everything went downhill when I blew a 60-point lead going into the final 9 game weeks. But let's not bring that up, okay, honey?
Dude, weren't you top 10, or am I making that up?
No, that's right. I was top 10 1 point in Canada, but
but like decently deep into the season. I want to say like somewhere in the teens.
I remember going into the restart. I'm pretty sure I was in the top 10K. I think it was like 5-6K, and then everything just went downhill. Jeez. I looked afterwards just to compare. I think on average, really besides transferring in Alonso instead of Asp 1 week, I think what really killed me was my captain choices. I don't remember a single good return.
Nothing else matters.
I get lucky with my captains usually.
You just leave it on the guy previous week when you sleep.
At this point, I think this season I'm considering just giving the armband to one player and only changing it if they're not playing. Because I looked out.
That'd be really risky.
No. Okay.
A captain, I forget.
I went and looked. So Magnus Carlsen, his captain ended up giving him somewhere, I think it was around like 300 extra points.
Uh-huh.
So, but then think about it. What did KDB got like 250 points last year?
Yeah.
So captaining KDB every single week would have gotten you an extra 250. So if you switch your captain to any game week that either KDB, he's going to get arrested because of Champions League, or someone's injured, then you can make up that difference between 250, 300. Or, switch it for double game week plus throw in a triple captain there. I think that's the biggest headache, and then people start overthinking it of, do I captain Salah, Mane, KDB, Sterling? Eventually you have no sense to it.
All those players are going to score you 200 plus points. It's irrelevant at that point, really. If you're thinking it that way, just forget. Just pick whichever one you're, is performing at the time, or whoever is your favorite.
Yeah. Plus, where's the thrill? I mean,
yeah. Where's the anger and the disappointment?
Yeah.
So
I
want to cheer against Arsenal when KDB's playing us. All right.
Okay, so you try taking a point lead in the last 10 minutes of the FPL season, and you tell me you still want thrills. I just stuck with KDB, everything was fine.
Listen, you made it more exciting for you by throwing away a 60-point lead. It's not our fault.
Yeah, along with $1,000, but let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Let's get on to
Taz, I think we're about to get to your midfielders, right? Or no, defenders.
Defenders. Yeah.
We didn't even get to defenders yet. All right, let's
we didn't finish everyone's defenders. We still gotta go. But I mean, just like anybody else, I feel like everyone starting off the season is gonna have Trent and then a bunch of 4.5 and cheaper options. I could see maybe like some people trying to like double up on premium defenders with like Trent and like Doherty, or Trent even Robertson. But right now, with how many like good options there are in midfield, I personally wouldn't go for it. So as you can see, Trent, like Gash said, no explanation needed. He takes free kicks for City, for Liverpool. He takes kicks on more corners than Robertson. I think for some people are trying to save the $500,000 by going Robertson. I wouldn't do it unless you're trying to use it as a differential pick for in your mini league. Then afterwards, I had Vinagre and Justin from Leicester City, both filling in for injured players. Both Wolves and Leicester kept 13 clean sheets last season. I think they're tied for top 4 and best, 4th in league best. So can't really. There's like the cheapest options to get into those defenses that you just can't go wrong with. If they do, Wolves do sign a left back, then they'll probably just move Vinagre to somebody else like Lawton from Brighton Hove, or even you can wait a week and get like Burnley. Yeah, you can wait a week and get one of the Burnley defenders, either Peters or Taylor, both solid into Burnley defense, and Burnley probably are still. I don't think they're gonna keep as many clean sheets as they did last season, but they should still keep more than 12.
Yeah.
And then Ferguson jumped right up on the hype train as everyone else did. I think Ferguson, as of recording right now, he is the highest owned defender that's under $4.5 million. So he, even though he's $4 million, he's owned more than a lot of these $4.5 million defenders. It speaks a lot for the hype behind them. I feel like for him and my other Johnson, they're both just enablers for me to have more expensive players elsewhere in the team. If they get playing time, it's good. But main thing for them is for me, not to lose money in them, for them to go down. If Ferguson does go up to 4.2 million or even more, I can easily transfer him out and use that 0.1 million to like pick up a really hot asset. Somebody like maybe Aguero like goes on a tear, and I need the extra million to actually later on in the season to afford him. But yeah, besides that, just kept it simple with Trent and cheap defense.
All right. So that's your whole defense. So C4, you want to go next, bro?
Sure. So goalie's pretty much the same as Gash strategy-wise. Newland, I think, best 4.0 in terms of having a chance to start. McCarty, I don't know if I'm completely sold on him as my 4.5, but I thought, right now, if he's Southampton's goalie, that's a pretty good opportunity. Like Gash said, pretty good record going into the end of the season after that 9-0 loss. Defense is where I made things a little more different. So I agree with Taz on having like a Johnson and Ferguson, like cheap enablers. But that also led me to Mitchell because it looks like Mitchell for Crystal Palace, he'll at least start for the first couple of game weeks. Now, I don't know, again, how Gash brought up the point of how Roy Hodgson likes having some experience with his youth. My logic here is that, out of these three 4.0 defenders, I feel like Ferguson and Johnson both have a good opportunity of sticking the rest of the season. Or at least one of them will, especially with Johnson and Ferguson. They could both switch sides, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that. I think Johnson definitely can. James Justin, cheap way into the Leicester defense. Only thing I'm concerned with there is Sionchu's still out for the first couple of weeks of the season. Like, Leicester was pretty leaky at the back towards the end of the last season, so who knows that go. So who knows how that goes.
It's because Sobo was out, that's why.
Yeah, so...
they have more injuries than that. In the attack, they had some injuries, so it's just hard for them.
I just wanted to say Soy Boy. I just wanted an excuse for that.
It was perfect for United chasing Champions League. I mean, no offense to Leicester, but you can come on.
Well, they had to start Wes Morgan against Man U in the last game week. Like, that's not optimal. And then my biggest difference there between the rest of the guys is I'm ready to say I bet any FPL winnings I get this season on Robertson outscoring Trent Alexander-Arnold.
It's going to be 0.
Wow. That's a
hot take right there.
That's a hot take for sure.
So
what makes you think that?
My logic is here that I think this is going to be a one-off season where I think the last 9 fixtures with Project Restart are going to be a better indicator of next season than taking the whole season as a whole. So, looking through the comparison tool of Trent and Robertson, outside of that one Chelsea game where Trent had the goal off the free kick and the assist to Firmino, he didn't have any other attacking returns in any games. Whereas Robertson had his 4 attacking returns post-restart spread out over the other fixtures. And if you're also going further into that, Robertson, he had far more touches in the box, 13-2 in those final 9 games. He had more final third passes, averaging 30 per start, whereas Trent was only at 22. And then, expected assists was the only area where it was kind of closer, where, Trent was at 0.26, but then Robertson was at 0.41. And so then if you dumb that all down to what their expected points were per those games during the restart, Trent was at expected points per start of 5.01, whereas Robertson was at 5.86. And I think that's too big of a gap to ignore. I think there's something there. I think if Liverpool does regress, I think defensively will be one of the biggest areas. So if you're already looking at, Robertson was having more success relying on his attacking returns than Trent, that there's a bigger opportunity there be a disparity in their points totals.
So you're saying you believe clean sheets are going to go down, so you're just betting on Robertson. Oh, that's interesting.
I think the reasons why come down more to their, I think the biggest differentiator between them is going to be their attacking returns. I don't think...
Got you.
Because originally I was considering having 3 Liverpool defenders.
Yeah.
But then, to me, at a certain point, it's I don't think Virgil is going to have as many clean sheets as last year. So basically it came down to, okay, I only want 1 Liverpool defender. Which one do I think is going to return more attacking-wise? And based on the stats, and honestly based off of watching a couple of last games, I think it's going to be Robertson.
So do you know the numbers per 90? Because I think Trent was rotated more in the post-restart than Robertson. So
do you want them per 90? I can grab those quickly.
I'm just curious. No, I don't need to know. I was just curious if it was closer or something. Because at least to me, I think Trent was rotated more.
That's a good point.
That's a risky pick right now. Trent only played in those. Actually, wait, no, because Robertson was out for that one game. He didn't play a full game. But besides that, I think Trent was rotated a few games. But C4, to your point, they ended up scoring the same amount of points in the post restart. So even those returns that Robertson had didn't really affect as much. So
I mean, but
per the same points, it's 0.5 mil. I see what you mean, but I think I disagree, but I see what you mean.
So if you want So per 90 minutes, Trent and Robertson after the restart, Trent was at 5.36 points, whereas Robo was at 6.38.
Robo? What is he?
Yeah.
RoboCop?
Robertson.
Robertson.
Robo?
And then looking even again, like their expected assists per 90 after the restart, Robertson was at 0.46, whereas Trent was at 0.25. Like I think people are acting like there's such a huge difference between them. Whereas, okay, even if Trent regresses a little and Robertson does a little better, they're still going to end up at the same points by the end of the season.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's just the crazy because Trent almost beat Robbo's record from 2 seasons ago, like the points record in FPL, and he had way fewer clean sheets than Robbo had in that season. It was just his attacking returns almost caught up. So I don't know. I just think it's I kind of back him to keep that up.
I admit it's risky. I just think that maybe it's for that
big risk
of what I was going to be able to do in my midfield. I think it's worth it. Even with I'm completely confident that he'll outscore him.
Bro, do it then. Do it. It'll help me finish above you in the mini league.
That's the game.
All right, let's pick up the pace a little bit. We're slowing down a bit here. So I guess now it's my turn to go through.
You just want to do the midfielders and forwards together afterwards?
Well, yeah. No, we'll just keep going like this. We'll just speed it up a little bit.
Okay.
All right, so for my goalkeepers, I also went with the 4.5 strategy. I think this is what you had, right?
Yep.
All right, so you already heard this from Gash. I'm not going to rehash this, but yeah. So Ryan and Nyland, you can move on to my defense. All right, so defense, I have Peters. Peters returned for me a few times post restart, so big fan so far. Ferguson, everybody's got Ferguson. Trent, everybody's got Trent. Vinegar or Vinegre, everybody's got him too. But Doherty is the big difference between the four of us here. I'm really high on Doherty. Doherty. Only 6.0, but has a big time attacking potential. Wolves defense we already talked about quite a bit. They're solid. They're great. So I have the potential for clean sheets with that, and I think he has potential to do what Trent did 2 years ago, where he was kind of underpriced and a little more under the radar and just went off. Not to the same extent, not like Trent was setting records and stuff, but he's also only a 6.0. I think he's gonna be valuable, real valuable. That's my favorite pick that I have. I'm just very high on him.
Do you not think this was his going off season?
This past one?
Yeah.
No, this past season was his breakout, but I think he's just gonna keep going up.
As long as Bali stays fit, I think that's they're a lot better defensively when Bali's playing. So if he stays fit, I think he's got a pretty good shout for a lot of clean sheets.
Yeah, good shot for clean sheets and really he returned a lot, especially post restart. He was solid for me.
Yeah.
I don't have the fancy stats that y'all have, but I'm big on Doherty. Yeah, I'm big on Doherty.
I'm pretty sure there's 2 times where Doherty didn't even start. He came on the 60th minute and returned an assist point. So he's just all around good.
He's just a fucking beast, basically. He's great. So let's move on to the midfielders. Everybody's midfielders. I guess we'll keep it in the same order that we've been going. So Gash, why don't you hit us with your midfielders?
Yeah, sure.
What's up?
We're going midfielders plus forwards here?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. So, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we got the midfielders and forwards in there. Aubameyang, I was kind of mentioning this to these guys here before we started today, but I'm actually not too sold on Aubameyang, so I may be adjusting that, after this. But for now, it's just the fact that how many goals he scored last season, and that he's playing in midfield now. He's really out of position potential for all those extra points for goals and stuff. The one thing that holds me back on him is he has I was looking at his stats, and he actually overperformed his expected goals by 7. You know, he was projected about 16.5, and he scored 23. And, you know, looking back through his seasons, the most he's ever overperformed beforehand was by less than 1. So he would have like, you know, a 15.5 and score 16 goals. He's never gone more than a 1 difference between the two. So I really don't think it's sustainable.
Did you look back to his Dortmund years too? That includes the Dortmund
this was Dortmund as well. Arsenal and Dortmund.
Wow. Okay.
So that's kind of my sticking point, but at the same time, I think it's not enough to put me off him with a lot of people owning him at the start of the season. A lot of people use a lot of people are using him as a KDB cover. I know that, but as a big Arsenal fan, you know, one thing I can say about him is I'm like surprised to hear that he overperformed that much, because there's a lot of games where he'll miss like a sitter or two and still score 2. So it's just like surprising to me that you're saying he overperformed, because I know I've seen him miss a lot of sitters, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know.
It feels like he underperformed. It feels like it as a fan, but yeah.
No,
so
it is.
Do you only have?
Are you gonna try to slide over here? Yeah, are you only keeping him for the 2? Are you one of those using him as a KDB replacement?
I think so. I mean, I can't say for sure with what's going to happen. Maybe he scores back-to-back hat tricks, and I eat my words and keep him in there and start captaining him. But at least that's the plan as of now.
I hope so.
Yeah. By the way, I kind of feel like the Brady Bunch right now, just like all of our pictures in the corner.
This is a really good thumbnail right now.
Yeah, this works. This is good.
So let me keep going through the midfield then. So Ziyech, Chelsea signing from Ajax. I think I'm actually really excited to. As a United fan, I hope he fails, but as an FPL supporter, if I have him on my team, I want him doing well, and I think he's going to do well. He creates a lot of chances. He's like a big fan of like a back post cross from what I've seen. And, they have Pulisic coming in from the opposite side, or even Werner if he's playing off the left wing to the back post. So I think that could be a really deadly combination over the length of the season. He also shoots a lot. He averages 4 or 5 shots per game. So, that might dip a little bit, but coming to the Prem instead of the Dutch league. But I think he's going to at least keep up, part of that. He seems to be a pretty, integral part of, creativity to his team.
How do you feel about him being an 8? You think it's a fair price?
I was expecting like an 8.5. So
yeah,
I
was expecting like a 7.5. Honestly, I don't know why.
Really?
Just something like
he's been pretty big in the Champions League, like for Ajax the past season or two. So
you know what? I think he's going to do better, like covering for Pulisic's injury. I'm curious to see how they do when he comes back. If they can coexist or not.
Yeah, I think they'll both be starting. I think they'll both be playing opposite sides.
Yeah, but I think
on rest.
Oh man.
But
I don't know. I just think Christian will take chances away from him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe you can see it that way, but also you got to realize that last season Chelsea had Abraham and Giroud as the strikers. Now Timo Werner, more clinical striker, will put away more chances from Pulisic. William gone, he played the right wing for them. When William wasn't playing, Mount was covering it there. So I think that's where Ziyech is gonna slide into. And the only thing that I can see like that stopping is they get Kai Havertz, which would then make you question if you do want to have Ziyech. But last season,
I hope that doesn't happen.
I hope it doesn't happen either, because Ziyech for $8 million, he's a great bargain.
I think Kai is so good. I do not want to see him at Chelsea.
I know. I think he's gonna sign though.
Are you worried about Ziyech not having played since the restart? Him and Werner?
Not too much.
Yeah, because isn't this like an average summer break then, considering that?
Yeah.
Like roughly?
No, for Ziyech, it would be really long because the Netherlands canceled the rest of their season.
So Ziyech hasn't played since like March.
Yeah, I think they did. But I don't know. I'm not too worried. I think he'll start.
Quickly, while we're still talking about Ziyech, though, but his I'm pretty sure he was. I can't remember if he was injured or for a lot of the Ajax season, but he had returned a goal or assist almost every 90 minutes, which is pretty good, even for the Eredivisie. And then in 6 Champions League appearances, he had 2 goals and 4 assists. And he's also looking to take over set pieces for Chelsea once he does go there. Once he starts playing, I think for $8 million for a Chelsea attacker, who right now their only hope is to outscore their opponents when they haven't signed a new defender yet. I feel like he's just.
Yeah,
that's like almost
true.
like not even a risk at this point. If he fails,
Chelsea games are going to be like 3, 4, 5 goals for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't the rumor right now they're
if
going
he
after
fails, we
Dunk?
can easily downgrade him to
They're
like
going
a
after who?
Foden or a Rashford. I mean,
Yes.
Greenwood.
Yeah. What were you saying, C4? You're about to say
Isn't the
something.
rumor right now that they're going after Dunk? At least for a new center back, Chelsea.
Yeah, but is that really going to change things like that much? The Dunk's
I mean,
Good.
it's solid at least.
but he's
He's
not
not-
like game changer.
He's
not
FPL
that,
solid.
and-
He's not like a Chelsea level center back. I don't think.
That and I think
Yeah,
the
I don't think
other
it'll
was,
turn their defense around or anything.
It's not a
Thiago
slam
Silva
dunk.
on a free. That was the other one.
Thiago Silva could be good for like a year. Yeah.
He's not a
Everyone acknowledge the pun, please.
Well done, Taz. Well done. All right, let's move along.
Yeah, let me just knock out the rest of these midfielders. So Salah again. I mean, he's freaking Mo Salah. You know, you'd love to have him as a Liverpool fan. Everyone else hates him because he's killing it. He has been killing it. He's on penalties as long as James Milner's not on the field. And he actually, believe it or not, this was the first time this past season he underperformed his expected goals since 2014. So I think we're even due to see a little bit, back to the regular Salah next season of a couple more goals, and really, he was kind of out of the Golden Boot race at the end. So real challenge.
Yeah, he didn't seem the same this past year.
I think he just wasn't. Normally he's finishing chances left and right, and he's just missed a few of those. So.
And Mane was so much better last year as well, like better than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Taz, where you at, man? Join us. We're back. All right. Who else you got in midfield?
I have Armstrong in there next, and he is a 5.5 for Southampton. So as you can see by my team when it's up there, I'm a very big fan of Southampton at the start of the season. Armstrong was really good since the restart at last season. I have the stats here. He had 5 goals and assists, so 3 goals and 2 assists post lockdown. He started 7 out of 9 games. And he was not really a guaranteed starter before that, so I think that pretty much solidified his place here. And for 5.5, I just think he's really well priced. And then Susek finally 5.0 from West Ham. So he's actually a defensive midfielder. Which is kind of surprising because he gets a decent amount of points. He gets forward a lot, especially in a Moyes team who loves his his Fellaini type, his big, strong midfielder in the middle that can win a lot of headers, and that's basically what Susek does. So he had 3 goals post restart. He had like an expected goals like 2.5 or something. So it's not like he was just crazy finishing for him. He actually had the chances. So I just think he's really good. Probably the best 5.0 price midfielder. And then
Decent bet.
I'll go through my forwards really quick. So Werner, I think he's going to have a really solid start to the season. I'm actually still debating him because he's typically always played alongside like a target man. So like he was always alongside Poulsen at Leipzig. Maybe there's a chance he plays alongside Giroud at Chelsea. But I know a couple of these guys here have him in their team, so we can discuss maybe like once we go back to your guys' forwards or something. Bamford is a really interesting case because he actually missed so many chances, big chances last season. He missed 33 big chances last season in the championship, and it's just ridiculous because the number of chances that Leeds create, he still scores a decent amount of goals. He hasn't proven himself to be too good of a finisher yet. So I'm kind of taking a little bit of a punt there with him on 5.5. My main reasoning behind it is that Leeds haven't signed a striker yet, so I'm just going to wait and see what happens there. And Bielsa tends to be very loyal to the players he picks. So Bamford has been starting week in, week out, even though he's missing all these chances. So I think he's going to at least stick with him for the start of the season, and let him go. And then finally, my last guy there is Danny Ings, who my third Southampton player, the only team I've tripled up on. And I just think he was in great form last season. He's putting away chances left and right, and I think that with Southampton and the form they're in, he's pretty much the key man for them. So he's going to be at the center of a lot of their attacks, and he's also like a bonus point magnet when he does score. So he tends to get a lot of the bonus points, which is really good from an FPL perspective.
You're not scared of him regressing at all?
Maybe a little bit, but I think actually with Armstrong and one or two other more creative players in Southampton's team, so like Kyle Walker-Peters coming in from as an overlapping fullback and creating chances, I think that he was scoring with less than what he'll have this season. So I'm kind of hoping that he'll maybe regress a little bit, but get a little bit more chances to offset that and keep going.
I mean, even if he regresses a little bit, he was in the Golden Boot race all the way to the end. So you take a slight regression at that price.
And keep in mind, he had I don't know how many penalties he had, but he might have taken scored one or something, but he was not on penalties for Southampton. That was James Ward-Prowse's job. So
those are real goals.
So those are all pretty much all open play.
That ain't no Man United goals. Those are real goals.
Nah, bro. You mean Varchest? I don't support Man United.
The reason why I asked about the regression is because, Ings and Jimenez, both 8.5 strikers, and realistically last year, I think, what was it? Ings finished on 198 points, Jimenez finished on 194.
Yeah.
From my perspective, at least, Jimenez is a really consistent striker. Like, I think you know what you're getting from him.
It's Mr. Reliable.
But do you not think it's worth it just to have him in there for the... Like, are you taking a risk with things?
This is one of my cases. Right. This is one of my cases where I'm thinking, I looked at, the numbers and stuff, and then I just looked at some videos, and I just have, more of a gut feeling with things. I think Jimenez is a great striker, a great player, and I think it's really, really tight, and I still might switch it before the game week 1 deadline, but as of right now, I just, have this, good feeling with things. So, stick it out.
I would definitely have Ings for the first 2 game weeks over Jimenez.
What's that?
I would definitely have Ings for the first couple of game weeks.
Yeah, Saints have pretty good fixtures at the start, so.
Yeah.
There's some very, very small buzz about Jimenez in the transfer market as well, so that's something to keep an eye on.
I doubt them.
I doubt it as well. But it's just something to look at.
Yeah.
All right, who wants to go next? Taz, I believe, is next.
You can go with my team.
You ready?
So, So, pretty much a very similar lineup to Ash's.
You got 4 midfielders, yeah.
Salah and Aubameyang. Aubameyang just a placeholder for me for the first 2 game weeks, and then I'm planning to transfer out Aubameyang for KDB, like everybody else who's probably picking up Aubameyang. I think KDB's probably just gonna break his record points they scored last season and just keep on going. Salah's as we've mentioned, one just a great asset to have, and I think he's a must-own player. I found it interesting they priced Mane the same price as him. They both, I think it was like Salah had 43% involvement in all of Liverpool's goals, and Mane had 42%. But Salah underperformed, and I think for 12 million, I just can't go with Mane over Salah for those people that are debating them. Son is I did not have in my team before the fixtures came out. I actually had Rashford in my team, and that's who I'm going to probably transfer in later on. I probably have this team 0.5 in the bank for Son to go in to Rashford, because I have to have one of the Man United boys, especially, you can make an argument for even getting Greenwood if Sancho doesn't get transferred in, but hopefully it doesn't. Make Greenwood price, very enticing to have. But Son's just a punt for their easy, fixtures to start. Under Mourinho, Son's been averaging almost 6 points per game. He had 11 goals and 13 assists last season, and just I think he's a good risk to take at the beginning of the season, especially those fixtures. I do think Kane is the better option, but just in my team, I couldn't justify having two premium strikers, and I definitely want to have Werner. I feel like Werner, not even just for taking the risk on Werner, especially since last season he finished with 28 goals and 8 assists for Leipzig in the Bundesliga and Champions League. But also I don't see Giroud or Abraham taking away his time on the pitch, and he could also possibly have penalties, which is even more goals for the Chelsea lineup, especially with Pulisic running in, possibly getting penalty kicks. And also, when I was structuring my team, everyone's probably gonna have at least 2 to even maybe 3 premium assets in midfield. I think it was very important to have one least premium asset with Werner in the forward spot, just in case I need to like transfer out money, or transfer for somebody else. Let's say Ings is doing well, I can easily downgrade to him, and that's something like everyone should take into consideration when making their team. Before this, I had a 3-5-2 with like two like 6.0 strikers. Doesn't mean like those 6.0 strikers won't return, but like if you have like Vardy going off or Kane for going off, like the whole goal of my team when I was setting this up is like I should be able to get a player within 1 to 2 transfers maximum, and it shouldn't take me more than that. So he's kind of just like a placeholder there. Having Mitrovic as my other forward, a lot of people are saying he won't have the same 26 goals he had in the championship, but in 2018, 2019, when he was in the Premier League, he had 11 goals, 3 assists. If he brings that this season again, I can't complain about that. Somebody else. That price? Yes, but for $6 million, other people are looking at $6 million. It's like Shea Adams had a good, him pairing up with Danny Ings could possibly, have more returns. He was pretty hot post restart. If you have somebody a little bit more above that, you can have Michael Antonio, but West Ham have terrible fixtures starting of the season. That's why I didn't go for Susek. Everybody else that went for it, I had to go for Armstrong. That I looked at the just general stats, and Armstrong for a 5.5 million or below midfielder, he was like he was after Lundstrom in in points scored last season. So he's I think he's going under the radar. He's not very owned. I believe he finished off by midfield, and then besides that, I have Ziyech. We talked about him before. I think he's just somebody. It might be too much to take 2 risks on Chelsea players. Chelsea might just end up sucking in the beginning of the season, but I feel like Ziyech for $8 million, just if he was 8.5 or above, maybe I would not have taken him. But for $8 million, I feel like he's just could be one of the steals of the season. And then my last one, I don't even know what his name is. He's just in there for the price. I don't know. Attacker. Yeah.
You don't even know his name. What the hell?
I closed my eyes. Just set the limit.
Imagine the guy in the locker room. The guy in the locker room, and his name is just like scribbled on there. You can't read it.
Yeah, Davis.
See, but there's a worry there that because he's the most owned 4.5, that once everyone wild cards second game week, his price is going to go down, and you're going to be screwed.
Yep.
I had Davis too in my team.
But damn, I didn't even think of that. Wow, that's next level thinking right there.
Yeah, but so we're gonna risk it on for a forward. Like I see some people having Brewster on their team, but then I don't want to use what's his name Liverpool spot for.
Because there's so few 4.5 forwards, I built my team around not having 4.5 forward.
The thing is, sorry to cut you off, but I think a lot of people, and like maybe even some Liverpool people, are like expecting Brewster to get a loan to one of these other teams. And I think that'd make him I have him in like kind of a watch list, and I think he'd be a very viable option at 4.5.
He would be if he got
especially for 4.5. He'd be extremely good if he's getting minutes on one of the lower teams in the league.
Could be possibly another Greenwood from last season, but
right.
Yeah, but that's this is something that all our teams are going to change once transfers are finalized before the season starts. So
definitely.
We'll do another episode with our final teams. For deadline. All right, so C4, you want to give us your midfielders and forwards?
Yep, here we go.
All right, let's do it.
So, kind of following the same thing as last time with the other teams, except, you can't see the names because I'm a dumbass and I don't know how to crop. Only difference in midfield I made was St. Maximum. I just think, you look at Newcastle's fixtures to start the season, they're pretty good.
And you needed one of your own Newcastle boys in there.
Yeah. Santiago Munoz isn't in the game, so
can I don't mean to cut you off right as you start, but I am hugely against ASM for this season.
How do you feel about ASMR though?
What's that?
How do you feel about ASMR though?
ASMR, I love them. But ASM, just to drop the R.
Why would you not like ASMR?
I don't think that's an ASMR test.
I was looking at like ASM versus Armstrong because they're both at same 5.5 million price point. ASM only had 3 goals and 4 assists in all of last season, and 3 of those assists came in one game. So the rest of the season, he had 3 goals and 1 assist. And I just don't think that's anywhere. I mean, Armstrong had 3 goals and 2 assists post restart alone. You know, and I think, I mean, I saw a tweet, earlier today that was, I have a list of names here. Henderson, Moutinho, Shelby, Rodri, and a bunch of other players also scored more, or 5.5 mids, and they outscored ASM last season.
So I'll just preface all this by saying that I have ASM in because of his good fixtures. I'm not completely sold on him. Armstrong would be the other choice right now. I was thinking about trying to get a couple, like another 0.5 or $1 million in there to have Foden as a bench option right away. I think that's not worth it based on the rest of my team.
Pep roulette.
Yeah. So then up top, that's Warner, Mitrovic, and Kane. So, at 9.5, 6, 10.5. Because
you took Kane.
Yeah, I took Kane because just look at what Spurs added Højbjerg. So Kane should be dropping back as much this season. I think in that last.
Dude, he's a Mourinho striker. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
He's all CDM. This is not going to make any sense, but I also think Spurs are going to get that second season Mourinho bump. That's completely sentimental. It's based off of no numbers. I just, Harry Kane looked really good towards the end of last season. He produced well. I think just based off the way the team's built and how Son isn't being utilized properly, like he's not being given a lot of opportunities to cut inside. I think Kane's going to be the main focal point of their attack. The only thing I would say there is I'm currently considering going between Kane and Vardy just to use that extra 0.5 in defense. Well, I'm not completely sold on that either, just because, Spurs have, I would say, better fixtures in the first 9 to 10 game weeks in comparison to Leicester City, based off what I've seen.
Yeah.
But realistically, looking at that attack, I would say I'm giving Kane and Warner a 3-game week tryout for which premium striker stays. I have a plan for transfers that involves taking one of them out to Jimenez, and then depending on which price difference, it dictates which Man United midfielder I get. If I take out Warner, I'm getting Rashford. If I take out Kane, I'm getting Fernandez. That's and then Alba automatically game week 3. He's going to Sterling.
Ooh, Sterling, not KDB.
Wow.
I just think there's
so you're not going to have KDB in your team this year.
When I saw the fixtures for the first 6 hours that I saw the fixtures, I was strongly considering not having a City player for the first 9 game weeks.
What?
I think they easily have the worst schedule in the Premier League for the first.
Yeah, but they're City. It's a clear-cut second-best team.
Is it okay? Clear-cut second-best team, worst fixtures. Is it really worth owning some of them for 9 game weeks instead of a Fernandez or a Mane who have better fixtures?
So the thing I will say is that in terms of your Sterling over KDB, I actually don't hate that entirely. KDB had a bunch of goals last year where he had, just absolute snipes from outside the box. And I'm not saying he can't do that, again this season, but I don't think he'll score them as regularly as he did this past season. And Sterling, I was looking at his shots inside the box number because I was just wondering, chances created by a Pep team, and he has 83 goal shots in the box over the season, which is a crazy amount for especially someone not playing as the main. I mean, he did play as a striker sometimes, but he was mostly playing off the left wing. He should have had based on his expected assists, he should have had about 5 more assists too. He was right at his expected goals numbers, so I think he actually was a little bit unlucky to only score as many points as he did this past season.
So just following up off of that, based off of after the restart, looking at Sterling versus KDB per 90 minutes, KDB was at 8.8, Sterling was at 13.85.
Yeah.
Me, that's just crazy. Expected points, KDB was at 7.24, Sterling was at 10.1. Expected goals, KDB was at 0.16, Sterling was at 1.09. Like, to me, that's huge. You can't just ignore that.
I see what you mean. All right.
No,
I still think it's crazy not to have KDB. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, the one thing about KDB is that he's probably the most nailed City player other than Ederson.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy not to have a City player after, giving myself time to reflect on it. I just couldn't find a way to have all three of Sterling, KDB, and Salah all on the same team with it making sense. Personally, because I also don't think Greenwood's a good option for United. I don't think it's worth it at 7.5, but
he's a little expensive.
If Sancho doesn't sign, I think he's,
Oh, well, then, yeah.
Compared to him, comparing him to Rashford or Martial.
Only thing that might change my mind is if Aguero does. Usually, like, Pep likes to, give him a couple of games to get into it. Like, he won't start him every single game week. But if he's like nailed on from game week 1, from game week 2 or 3, then that might make me reconsider. Because I was reading supposedly Aguero, when he plays, Sterling's output is way less. Which I would believe.
That makes sense. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess I'll go through my team now. The best team out of all of ours. So we got Alba, we got Aubameyang, of course. I actually am not planning on dropping Alba for KDB or anyone. I'm planning on keeping Aubameyang in my team for a while. Yeah, I'm an Arsenal fan. Yeah, that's probably part of it. But it just makes the games more enjoyable to watch for me if I'm rooting for Alba as well. And obviously he's great. Like I said, I feel like he underperformed, even though that's, I guess, not true according to Gash's stats. But I'm sticking with Alba. We got Saka in there as well at 5.5. If he can produce like he produced in the other competitions last year, if he gets more of a solid role in the Premier League games, I think he could do some damage. He's great with the assists. We know. I don't know. I think if he just plays more consistently, like, we can expect more from him. What is that for? Is that supposed to be me?
I think that's Aubameyang.
Is that supposed to be Alba or me? Yeah, I mean, Saka looked really, really good in the Europa League and in the other competitions, and I'm expecting him to get a lot more game time in the Prem this year, so that should be good. Stevens, I just needed a 4.5 option. Out of the 4.5 options, he seemed like the best shot for me there. Ziyech, 8.0. I don't feel great about him, honestly, but I have $3 million in the bank, so I'm free.
You have $3 million in the bank?
Yeah, because, after the fixtures dropped, I just moved KDB right to Ziyech, and I didn't want to move too much around because I want to be able to put KDB right back in game week 2.
So you honestly don't think it's worth rearranging your team to having a Salah or a Mane in game week 1?
If I'm debating between Salah and Alba, for the whole season.
I think you'd have both for game week 1.
It's my team, so fuck you. And besides Ziyech, yeah, I don't feel great about him, but 8.0. If he hits the ground running, that'd be good for me. And my last player in midfield was. Can I get my screenshot back up? I kind of forgot. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, Foden. I feel good about Foden, especially at 6.5. That's pretty cheap for what he can do. Remember, they're losing David Silva this year. I think Foden is the guy who will pick up some of that slack. I'm sure it'll be spread around a little bit, but Foden seems to be that guy getting ready to take that role. Pep seems to like him. He seems to be playing a lot post-restart as well. I don't know, just feel good about him, especially at 6.5. If he can produce something close to what David Silva did at his 6.5 price point, I would be thrilled. Let's move on to...
Post-restart Foden had very similar numbers to Greenwood, and I forgot which one was I believe it's attempted assist. He even outperformed him, and for a whole million less, if Foden starts getting more playing time, if you have him in your team, I'll even downgrade to Foden and then use the million somewhere else.
Yeah, bro. I mean, a 6.5 City asset in the midfield. That's huge.
That's the thing, though.
If he gets those minutes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
When he's
Got to deal with the bald fraud. But he seems to like the kid. He seems to like Foden.
Do you think this year, because Champions League is starting that much later, that there's less chance of City rotation to start the season?
No,
I think he's still going to do it.
Champions League doesn't start until October
Yeah.
20th or something?
But then he has to keep all his players, fresh at the start of the season and warmed up for the Champions League, right?
Or he really wants to win a Premier League title and he doesn't care about that.
Nah, it's bad.
They're Champions League all out there. He's won the Premier League. I mean, he was basically brought in to win the Champions League.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't think they're not going to. It's a different beast, of course, once it comes to the knockout rounds versus the group stage. But they're still going to want to secure that as early as possible.
And they still have so many great players. Like they have to rotate. They have to.
Right.
You can't play all of them. You know, they're playing career mode in real life. It's annoying to watch a little bit. If I was a City fan, I'm sure I'd be thrilled. Let's move on to my forwards. I got Timo Werner as well. I expect him to hit the ground running. I've been a fan of his for a while. I also have Bamford. I think Gashu had him as well. Bamford, first of all, sick name. I like the Bam in there. I think there's some potential for some good puns or something. I don't know. I haven't figured one out yet. Bam! Yeah, I don't know. I just feel good about him. I was looking at some stats as well. Gash, you mentioned that he missed 33 chances?
33 big chances.
That's absurd. So despite that, he was still the top scorer for Leeds and 16 goals and 2 assists last year. And he took 143 shots, which is 68 more than the second highest total on his team. That was Jack Harrison. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, 143 shots, 128 of those in the penalty area, more than double any other player on the side. If somebody's going to be scoring goals for Leeds, I think it's going to be Bam. I'm going to start calling him Bam. I'm like Flintstones. At 5.5, if he can produce anything that he produced in the championship last year, I'll take that at 5.5. And lastly, but definitely not least, Jamie Vardy. It's always a Vardy party for me. I had him probably 35 out of the 38 game weeks last year, including right from the beginning, right from game week 1. Big Vardy fan, always have been, always will be. I'm still going to mess with my team a lot, and I am going to try to get a Salah in there, as I was just talking with you about C4. But I feel like I just got to have Vardy.
I just really sleep through the deadline again.
Dude, I just can't do that again. The thing is, because I'm trying to tinker, I'm up till 3-4 in the morning. The deadline's usually at 6 a.m. So I'm trying to do these last minute tinkerings, looking at any reports or anything, and then I just pass out. It's not a good look. But yeah, so pretty good teams. We got a lot of things in common. Few big differences.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just surprised none of us had any Leeds fullbacks. I mean, they're next on my watch list. I'm just waiting to see closer to the season. But
I'm waiting to see of the 4.0s that I pick, which ones work out and which ones don't.
Mm-hmm.
If I see Noah Mitchell is only a game, a 1 game week punt, then I would bring in a Leeds. I'd rather have those 3 4.0s than bringing in Douglas.
Yeah, I'm still definitely on the fence of maybe a Justin versus a Leeds fullback, but we'll see.
What excites you about a Leeds fullback?
They tend to get forward a lot. Ailing on the right in the right back slot is pretty nailed. Dallas on the left back slot seems a little more. He'll get rotated a little bit more, but he also has slightly better attacking numbers. So
Dallas is a big name.
Bigger poison there.
Right. All right.
I mean, Dallas has signs to be the next kind of Lundstrom, because for Leeds last season he played left back 17 games, but then he played in the midfield 17 games also. So and those 9 games in right midfield and 8 games in center mid. So if even if Leeds do sign another left back, he might be starting at center mid, and then you're paying $4.5 million for a defender that's starting at midfield.
Yeah, see, the only thing is he wouldn't be starting at center mid unless the reason he played there last season was because of a lot of injuries. So unless they have a lot of injuries, or Bielsa's looking to play him, I think he used to be a winger, so I can maybe see him at maybe the right hand side, out on the wing or on the right hand side of midfield. But definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and that brings me to our fan question of the episode. First fan question. Hit us up on Twitter. The day of our episode recordings, we'll post out that we're looking for questions, and just throw them our way. So this one comes from James Parker at James Parker 96. Thank you for the question, James. James wants to know if there are any dark horses that we can think of. Dark horse candidate for like a really, really big season. My pick, I guess, for that would be Foden. Like I said before, I feel like he's kind of a dark horse. I know he's not really like a hidden name or anything. Everybody knows who Foden is, but I just feel like at that price point, I think he is a good shot to really outperform his price point. So Foden's my choice for a dark horse, even though he might not totally count as a dark horse. But I'm going to do it. Anybody else who just jump off this one?
Yeah, I was going to say there are a couple of players that like are coming up from the newly promoted teams. So there are one or two like of the Leeds players. You know, Jack Harrison plays off the left-hand side there, and he's you know, from what I've seen of him, he's a really creative player, but maybe doesn't have the finishing. So I could see him, you know, if he can take it up a level, or maybe even a player like Pereira that just signed for West Brom. You know, he's a 6.0. He actually had 20 assists in the championship last season. So he's like he's an attacking midfielder, or like maybe he'll play off the right-hand side but drift inside. But from what I've seen, you know, West Brom fans are very excited to have him. So maybe one of those two guys for me.
Good choice. C4, what you got, man?
I'm shocked that a Red Bulls fan brought up Jack Harris.
I know, and a Leeds, a Man United fan bringing up a Leeds player also. But
yeah, if I had to pick one, it'd probably be Tammy Abraham. Just looking at his expected goal stats, all his underlying stats last season, and from reading Chelsea fan forums, plus looking at, you know, even though the game didn't go well, Lampard experimented with a two-striker system in the last Champions League game. I think, you know, if Tammy Abraham somehow gets himself into that lineup with, you know, either partnering Warner or Warner's playing out on the left, I think he'd be a nice cheap way into the Chelsea attack. And based on what he did last season, I think he could have a even further breakout season.
That's an interesting point. Now, I haven't watched much of Poulsen's game from Leipzig. Is there any similarities you can draw between him and Tammy? You think? Because we know that Werner played really well alongside Poulsen, but right, what does Poulsen play like? Gash. I feel like Gash would know.
He's a pretty tall player. He's like one of the strikers that's like really good in the air. So he's almost like kind of like a target man, not like a pure target man, but in that mold basically, where, you know, they can play the ball into him, and Werner kind of like played off him. So
you think Werner could play off of Tammy like that?
I would say, yeah. I would almost even see even like Tammy, or even your favorite Olivier. Yeah. I could see him playing off either of those two guys, you know, just depending on who's in form. But you know, they have a chance to complement each other.
What's Tammy's price at again this year?
7.5.
Again, I think that's what it was last year. Yeah.
If I could throw one other name out there, I could see Firmino having a big bounce back season.
But FPL wise? Yeah. Okay, is he a 9 or 9.5?
I think he's a 9.5, which I think is overpriced.
Yeah, that's tough.
I would put him down at 8.5 because I feel like there's no reason for you to own him over Jimenez, especially when a lot of people already have 2 or 3 Liverpool assets.
Yeah,
that's a weird. That's way too expensive. I feel like.
Like, I can't think of one reason to own him right now.
Yeah, except that you just named him as a dark horse. But besides that,
I only named him as a dark horse just because I think he got really unlucky last year. If you look at his expected goals and then what he actually put up, I think he was at 15 or 16 expected goals, but he only ended up getting, 8 or 9?
Yeah.
And he's not that good of a finisher.
He got a lot of hate last year. I like Firmino. I'm a fan. I mean, I'm not really a fan from a fantasy perspective, though.
It's not a good fan.
Weird that he only had, 1 goal at home or something last year?
Yeah, something like that.
Like, it's just a little too weird for it to keep going for me. Like, I think something's...
I mean, but he took significantly less shots than either Salah or Mane. You know, for 9.5 million, I feel like that's just when he spends else we know better.
Yeah, at that price point, he's basically useless. I feel like if they put him at like an 8 or 8.5, a lot more people would consider him.
Yep.
I feel like 8 would be like too cheap. I feel like the 8.5 to 9 field, you know, like range makes you like think more of like, okay, do I go, pay a little bit more for him instead of getting like an Ings or a Jimenez, or because 8 million is way too cheap. 9.5 is like, would you rather have him or like Werner or even Martial at 9 million is a great shout. You know, once United start playing Game Week 2. That's something you know.
Here's a question then. Who would you rather set and forget for the entire season? Jesus or Firmino?
Jesus. That's my
Jesus.
pick for the dark horse.
For the
Even though
entire
you might not have
Wow, great transition.
Yeah.
That was dope.
It's almost like we planned that.
we didn't. So Taz,
Damn it, we don't have to cut this. No, but I think, Aguero has 1 year left on his contract, getting older. I can totally see Pep just giving more playing time to Jesus, and especially, I feel like towards the end of the season, he's a little bit unlucky not to, with the amount of shots he was taking inside the box, not to return as many goals. And I feel like this season is possibly the season he'll outscore Aguero, and we'll get more of that playing time. And if he does, for $9.5 million for City attacker, is going to be very nice.
That's true. Good points. All right. Any final thoughts? Anybody want to add anything else that y'all forgot to say or whatever? Everybody good?
Join our league. We have a hotline mini league.
We have a new league. The link is in our bio currently, and we're just gonna keep tweeting it out until you guys get tired of it. I think so far we got like 15 people in there, not counting all 4 of us. So that's pretty good. It's a good return, considering not having an episode yet. So yeah, join our mini league. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. The handle has been scrolling around the bottom this entire hour and a half. So yeah, hopefully you remember it at FPL Hotline on Instagram and Twitter. We have a Facebook as well. If you guys use that, I doubt it. Facebook's kind of done, but we have it too. What's up?
Do we have a TikTok?
We do not have a TikTok. You might have to run the TikTok account from Canada because pretty soon we will not be able to use it here. So yeah, maybe you can be our TikTok guy. But yeah, besides that, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thank you, Taz. Thank you, C4. Thank you, Gash, for joining us. Me, I don't know. Thank you, Tomo. Thanks everybody for watching, listening, whatever. Subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Peace out.